This video is the exercise about creating a texture utilizing the channels. Now it can be anything. It can be shadows from a photograph, it can be the manipulation of a photograph, it can be a rubbing, it can be anything that you can process to create a texture through channels. And I'll give you an example here, two examples through Photoshop. So I'll jump into Photoshop. So this is just a photograph of nothing really, just a few things on the desk. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go Command A. So I'm going to select all. I'm going to cut it. I'm going to go into the channels. Down here, I'll create a new channel. I'm going to paste it. Now I'm trying to make a texture, so I don't need it to look like a photograph. So I'm going to go Command L for the levels, and I'm just going to push the contrast right up, making the blacks and the whites a lot stronger. Okay, and what I'm going to do here is I'm going to use the dodge tool. At the moment it's on highlights, 100%. Yeah, I'll leave it at that, so it's quite high, and I'm just essentially getting rid of all the grey, just really bleaching it out a bit through here, taking it much better. I can leave a little bit of texture in places, but in general I'm just kind of sucking everything out. Now when I get something like that, I'm going to get the brush, so I'm white, and I'm just going to get rid of some of these things because I really just want to make a pattern, sorry, not even a pattern, sorry, a texture out of any little part of this. So I'm just wiping away some of this stuff, and it's starting to look quite interesting. I'll knock a bit off here. Make the brush a bit smaller just to tidy up around that bit. A wee bit here that I'm going to knock off as well. Now I want to try and diffuse these edges a wee bit so it's not quite so harsh, so a way to eat into this channel. So I'm going to make a new brush. So I'm going to use part of the image, see what I can do with that. So I'm going to get the lasso tool, Command D, make sure nothing's selected, and I'm going to drag around a bit of this text. Go. So once I've got that selected, I'm going to go Edit, Define Brush, give it a name if I want. So I've created a brush out of that little bit of text. I'll go Command D, deselect that, and I'm going to do a few settings here that I've done before. So Shape Dynamics by clicking on this folder with the brush in it. Size Jitter, if I move this up, we can see the brush down here. Size Jitter, the angle, so it's spinning it around a bit, and the scattering, that's going to break it apart a wee bit. Trying to randomize this whole thing. So now, if I click and I come in here, you can see what it's doing. And this is giving me a much more interesting edge. I can, of course, scale this up. So I'm just trying to break in here. I can scale it down, up and down, so that I get a variety of shapes coming in here. Just a way to try and break into this a wee bit. Clear this out a bit. I'm going to go back to a normal paintbrush now, just so I can make sure some of these areas are absolutely nice and white. And another thing I can do is if I go Command I, because remember I'm still on the channels, I can do the opposite. I can get, instead of the dodge, the burn tool, 46, and I can darken some of these areas up a bit. And come in here with a black brush now, just get rid of some of these bits here. Now I can hit the select tool, select that channel, go to my layers, make a new layer, go Option Delete, then Command D, so I've filled it with black, and it's just white as a background color. So this, I'm fine with that as a texture. It starts to become something interesting that can be overlaid over other images. And actually, I like it more in black and white. So we'll leave it like this. But I'll give you another example. We'll come back to this one. So just a photograph of some rocks. So of course I could select all of this, cut it, go to the channels, make a new channel, paste it, and by playing around with the levels a wee bit and giving more contrast, I could probably eat into this a wee bit and start to use that as a texture as well, but this time I'm going to do something a bit different. I'm going to come in and find an interesting element that I can use in here, and actually I'm going to go around. I'm going to go around a bit like this here. I just had to go Command D to make sure nothing was selected. I go Command Shift I, so it selects everything outside of the shape. Black is my foreground color, so I'll go Option Delete. It's the same as going Edit, Fill, Background color or foreground color. I'll go foreground color, 100%. Okay, but it's much faster just to go Option Delete. And put it back in the window. I'm going to go Command Shift I, so it's just this that's selected. Command T to transform it. And I'm going to scale it really big. Hit return when I'm finished. Now the thing is, on Photoshop, as soon as I scale something, if we have a look at this, it's not very nice. It's quite pixelated. So I'm going to go Filter, Noise, and I'm going to try Medium. And what this does is you can see it kind of smooths it out a wee bit, but also what it's doing is it's taking away that kind of JPEG compression quality. I'll go OK. I'm going to load this up. So load it with the selection, back to the layers, a new layer with transparency, and Option Delete. So I'm going to end up with that pattern there. So I'm going to move that. Chuck it over onto the other pattern here, and actually I'll go Command T just so I can fit it all on the same image. Now let's colour these up a wee bit. So this background colour, let's go blue, Option Delete. This one here, I'll pick this, Option Shift Delete. This one, Option Shift Delete. We can play around with multiply and lots of the various functions, but you can kind of look at this and say, well, when do these patterns actually start to become useful? This one, I think, can become quite a useful pattern when you look at it in terms of degradation. And so let's have a look. Let's look at this photo that we've got underneath. If I, oh, sorry, it's dragged the wrong one over, but we'll leave that there. And where did it go? All right, so this one, we want to drag that over. And I'm going to put a solid color in behind the image of clear. Let's go for blue. I need to unlock it. And in the case of clear, we could drag around it, give her a bit of a mask. Mask it once we've got the selection. I won't worry about tidying it up too much. But this one here, Command, I'll switch off the eye. I'll come down to the mask of clear. I'll get a selection tool so I can go inside it and kind of move it around. Come onto the mask, and if I go Option Delete, fill it with black. You know, the way that you can eat into a mask with some of the stuff, really, really interesting. Grab it the other way, and I'll come in here, onto the mask again, Option Delete. All of this stuff starts to become pretty interesting as far as a mask goes. Now, I can just shift click on that mask, which will switch it off. So things like this one become really, really interesting. So if I grab this, let's try it here somewhere, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to fill it with white. So Command Shift Delete, because white's the background color, and I'm going to put this on screen. There we go, and I can change the opacity down a wee bit. I'm going to make a new layer above it, and I'm going to go to the gradient. I'll try that one that's in there at the moment, and I'll clip it. And so now with something, oops, that was just this kind of organic blob, you can see that you can already create things like, and you would have seen it before, the flare, kind of lens flare sort of thing where the light seeps into the camera and creates these kind of warped colors that sit over top of the photograph. And if we want to make it a bit more interesting, we can of course just distort the shape. Maybe that starts to look a little bit better as a flare coming in from the side. It's quite good actually when the colours go over the face a wee bit. Okay, so I'll stop it there.